300 acres of farmland wiped out in just 2 weeks? Over $600,000 in damages? The culprits? A relentless swarm of wild hogs, breeding out of control and hiding deep in the thick Texas brush. Pickup trucks can't keep up. Rifles don't have the range. John's hunting team is left with only one option: helicopters. While local farmers stand by helplessly, watching their land get torn apart, the hunters prepare for an all-out aerial pursuit. Every move is calculated. Every shot must count. Hunter or hunted, who decides the outcome? Don't miss it. The battle from above is about to begin. At daybreak, John's helicopter roared through the sky, tearing across the horizon in pursuit of the beasts below. The landscape came into sharp focus, a herd of wild hogs, moving in formation through the brush. Without hesitation, the pilot dropped altitude, bringing the chopper in low to give the shooters a clean angle. Gunfire erupted in rapid bursts. One by one, the beasts dropped. In mere seconds, hog carcasses were scattered across the ground, marking the start of a fast, brutal assault, and kicking off today's high-stakes hunt with precision and power. The helicopter continued to circle, then shifted direction toward an open field nearby. Within minutes, another herd of wild hogs came into view. The pilot closed in fast, but these hogs were clever, constantly changing direction, making it difficult to get a clear shot. Still, years of experience paid off. The flight crew and gunners moved in perfect sync, operating like a well-oiled war machine. It was a relentless chase, and not a single hog escaped the team's accuracy and resolve. By the end of today, this land will breathe easier peace, finally restored. Just as the signal came in about the wild hog's location, John's helicopter changed course instantly, shooting through the sky like an arrow. No need for many orders. Every move was executed with flawless precision and practiced skill. In a flash, gunfire erupted, and the mission was swiftly completed clean without a single mistake. Every shot missed one hog down. As the aerial battle drew to a spectacular close, the ground war heated up with Jack's tactical team ready to move in. The moment the order came, the team quickly took their pre-assigned positions. Jack headed straight to the eastern trail. As the beast revealed itself, a powerful shot drove straight into the target. A decisive strike, executed with absolute precision. The perfect coordination brought the mission to a swift and successful end, securing this land once again. Elsewhere, Finn stood quietly, eyes locked on every movement around him. Suddenly, a herd of wild hogs dashed through his line of sight. Without hesitation, a rapid burst of gunfire rang out. The lucky ones escaped, but many fell, struck down with power and precision. That's the hunting team's style. Focused, mission-driven, and always ready. The hunter's footsteps pressed on, tracking the remaining game. Soon, the sharp barks of the hunting dogs echoed loudly. At the sound, Jack charged forward without hesitation. Before him, the massive silhouette of the beast came into view. Without a second thought, he squeezed the trigger clean and decisive. The beast collapsed with a heavy thud, a swift strike that restored freedom to this land. Though many wild hogs were taken down, the battle isn't over. Their breeding pace remains relentless. This success is thanks to the close cooperation between the hunting team, local residents, and authorities, all working together to protect the crops and maintain peace.
Their population has surged to over 2.6 million, and they're showing up everywhere, from remote farms to the backyards of city homes. And they have one mission: to destroy everything in their way. They rip up the land, pollute our water resources, and compete for food, pushing native wildlife out of their own habitat. That's why we are heading out once again. This is not a hunt for sport. It is a necessary mission to control a destructive species and protect our state, our land, and everything we've built. At 6 a.m., with the plan laid out and every role clearly assigned, we set out once again with unwavering determination. On the western hillside, where Jay stood guard, was a critical choke point. Suddenly, he heard movement. Eyes locked through the scope. He scanned the trail, and there it was. A massive wild hog burst out of the brush at full speed. Jay pulled the trigger. The shot landed true. The beast dropped instantly, the threat neutralized before it could vanish into the deep woods. As the echo of the gunshot faded, peace returned to the land. A perfect start to today's hunt. Meanwhile, over on the eastern flank, I was locked in with a worthy opponent. It was tearing across the hillside like a mad beast, dodging my shots with unreal speed. What on earth is this thing? I muttered to myself, barely believing what I was seeing. Then, in a moment straight out of an action movie, it launched itself past a massive boulder. I knew right then, this was my one shot. It hadn't made it far. My sights were already up, locked in. One pull of the trigger and it dropped. The chase ended right there, in the blink of an eye. Heart-pounding, no joke. That last move, tell me fellas, was that a solid 10 or what? As the sun dipped low, we pushed deeper into the hills, into thickets so dense they swallowed up our line of sight. Then suddenly, a wild hog burst out, sprinting full speed down the only trail it could find, desperate to escape. But what it didn't know was that this trail led straight to its end. Kevin, seasoned and sharp, was already there one step ahead. The moment it exposed its weak spot, boom! Boom! Target neutralized, clean and fast. It had speed, but we had the strategy. What do you think, boys? That pincer move was slick or what? As the sun set, the enemy grew bolder. We adjusted our tactics accordingly. The thermal scopes were ready, turning us into true night hunters. Then, out of the darkness, a shadow appeared, boldly rooting up the earth in search of food. That ugly sight was unforgivable. I fired immediately, taking down the threat and restoring peace to the village. It was digging for food, but in the end, it dug its own grave. Here, there's no place for destroyers. As night falls, the world transforms into black and white through the thermal scope. Every movement becomes sharper, clearer than ever with our team's high-tech gear. The wild hogs are feasting in the open clearing, completely unaware that a deadly eye is watching from afar. I calmly pick the biggest one, steady my aim, and squeeze the trigger. In an instant, a shadow drops, and the rest scatter. No time to look back. One shot for the night, so that the dawn can come peacefully. Tomorrow, everything will return to normal, as if the destructive wild hogs never showed up. We moved quickly to track down the rest before the hunt was over. Finn locked onto the lead hog with cold precision. The boss went down instantly, seeing the whole group scatter, not giving them a second to breathe. He swung the rifle and fired relentlessly like a machine, determined to take down as many as possible before they vanished into the woods. So, brothers, how many shots did you count in that final barrage?
at 4 a.m., while the entire city still lay wrapped in sleep. We were already deep in the western forest. This wasn't a casual stroll. This was a mission. Beneath these leafy canopies lurks an uninvited enemy, relentlessly ravaging the hard work of farmers, turning lush green fields into battlegrounds. Today, we set out to answer their silent cries, their weary sighs. Will peace ever return to this land? Come with us and find out. As dawn broke, the mountainside became our first battleground. And we didn't have to wait long. At 6:15 a.m., right at the forest's edge, our target appeared exactly as predicted. My first shot struck its shoulder. It immediately changed course, trying to flee up the hillside. But the second shot gave it no chance. It collapsed, forever lying on the land it never belonged to. Mission accomplished. What do you think? Was that shot a masterpiece? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let us know. We pressed deeper along the narrow trail leading into the fields. The target appeared, completely unaware it was stepping into death's crosshairs. The bullet struck the vital spot, ending the threat in an instant. A single shot echoed through the air, guarding the harvest and keeping the fields forever green. They think speed means escape. They're wrong. Watching it charge like a runaway car, I didn't rush. I waited for it to step into the perfect trap. Boom. Game over. The bullet stopped it dead in its tracks. Forever, at the edge of life and death. Only the fastest gets to write the final chapter. I spotted it limping from a distance. I knew this prey would be an easy catch. I gave it a warning shot. It chose to run. The second shot sent it tumbling like a puppet with its strings cut. In a life or death battle, the slowest becomes dinner. After a midday break, we moved down to the plains, where tougher, craftier targets lurk, masters of hiding who demand the teamwork of an entire hunting squad. From the watchtower, my teammate David wasn't just observing the beast, he was guarding the peace of this land. When the intruder appeared, there was no hesitation. One decisive shot pinned it down. It fell, and the threat was eliminated. No second bullet needed. One was enough. A clear message. There's no place here for destroyers like the wild boar. When the barking echoed right beside the bushes, they knew the moment had arrived. Just as planned, the strong wild boar was driven out by the pack of hunting dogs from deep within the thicket. He willingly walked straight into death's waiting arms. One clean shot ended the flawless teamwork. It looked for a place to hide, but I found a place where it would lie forever. The sun blazed down harsher and hotter than ever. There it was, a heart-pounding chase as the wild boar poured every ounce of strength into fleeing from the relentless pack of hunting dogs. The barking grew louder, signaling the target was racing straight into the trap. The moment it came into sight, I delivered the finishing bullet, ending the chase in an instant. One shot rang out, keeping the field safe and sound.
Tracking the destroyers, a bloody battle on the fields to save the harvest. Ferocious wild boars have turned fertile fields into brutal battlegrounds. They brazenly devastate crops, instill fear in farmers, and cause millions of dollars in damages. Hunters immediately set out, ready to confront these cunning beasts head-on. Join us on this heart-pounding journey, where gunfire echoes across the fields and tense battles of wits unfold in the depths of the forest. Follow along right now. A perfect ambush on the fields of France is pushing back the devastation caused by wild boars. Nick's hunting team arrived early, setting up a perimeter around the area. At this moment, they were all in their assigned positions. Just minutes later, a wild boar bolted from the wheat field, landing directly in Jay's crosshairs. Without a moment's delay, a bullet was fired, neutralizing the threat in the middle of the field. Before he could lower his rifle, another boar charged forward, only to be taken down by the next precise shot. The field now bore only the remains of two beasts, marking the start of today's battle. At the edge of the field, the barking of dogs echoed, signaling the prey's location. The marksman advanced, and suddenly, a wild boar burst from the bushes. A precise strike, eliminating another threat to the fields here. Another gunshot rang out almost simultaneously. As the hunter peered into the bushes, a wild boar charged out. He instantly pulled the trigger, firing a single shot, and the beast collapsed onto the grass. Before he could celebrate, another boar rushed forward. Seizing the moment, the next shot was fired without hesitation, and another beast fell. The swift and precise handling was astonishingly effective, bringing a measure of peace to the field. Following the faint trail, the hunter ventured deeper into the dense forest. The sudden bark of the hunting dogs echoed, and he immediately rushed toward the sound. The silhouette of a wild boar gradually came into view within his sights. A decisive shot rang out, swiftly neutralizing the threat. From all directions, a chorus of gunfire erupted, signaling that the other boars had also been dealt with. The wild boar, as if maddened, charged straight at him with terrifying speed. Without a hint of fear, he pulled the trigger instantly. A single shot rang out, and the beast collapsed less than a meter from him. A heart-stopping moment. A decisive strike showcasing the grit of a man who has faced danger more than once. Deep in the forest, a herd of wild boars foraged diligently, unaware they were in the crosshairs. Choosing the optimal angle, he locked onto the target ahead and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out, and the largest, fattest boar dropped instantly. The others, reacting instinctively, scattered swiftly, too quick for another shot to follow. The land was quickly restored to freedom, liberated from the claws of the beasts.
With their devastating power and cunning ability to vanish into any terrain, they leave behind a haunting fear for anyone daring to enter their domain. Every hunt is a life or death gamble. Do the hunters have the courage and skill to outwit the deadly traps laid by these beasts? The breathless journey begins now. Dawn in the Black Forest. Mist still clung thick to the leaves, but the air reeked of death. The wild boars here had grown more aggressive, more numerous, and more destructive unchecked, unchallenged. Today, Caleb and his hunting crew were going to change that. Their familiar UTV came to a stop at the base of the hill. 15 minutes into the trek, the hounds started howling, pulling the whole team into the forest. Caleb climbed up the ridge, taking the high ground. Through the scope, everything below came into sharp, deadly focus. A fat, hulking boar easily over 500 pounds snuffling through the brush. The monster kept foraging, unaware it was being watched. Then suddenly it froze, as if it had sent something off. It turned sharply, bolting like a shot. That's when Caleb pulled the trigger. The team fanned out, each hunter heading to their post. Axel took a narrow game trail, hugging the hillside, his eyes constantly scanning the undergrowth for any sign of movement or tracks. Suddenly, the silence was shattered. A sharp rustling tore through the still air. From the dense brush above, a wild boar burst out panicked, massive, charging straight at us. The squad was already deep in the forest, navigating rugged trails and tracking every sign left on the damp forest floor. Mike led the way, eyes sharp as he moved through a narrow path swallowed by brambles. Then movement. That familiar silhouette emerged, the beast attempting to hide, but it was far too late. A volley of gunfire tore through the silence loud, relentless and final. Another target down. Another region freed from the grip of destruction. Millions can now breathe easier. The menace has been silenced. We shift our focus to another team, this time in the harsh, unforgiving Beskidi Mountains. The weather here is brutal. Snow has begun to fall, and the wind lashes in fierce bursts, warning of an incoming whiteout storm. James' team knows they're racing against time. They move quickly, seizing every precious minute before the mountains vanish under a blanket of snow. 10 minutes in, the signal comes. James advances toward the source of the commotion, eyes scanning the slope below. Through the snow-draped trees, a hulking dark shape emerges at him. Shots crack through the icy air, sharp, deliberate. The wild boar bolts, thrashing to escape the kill zone. But no amount of fury or instinct could change its fate. Moments later, it collapses. Another beast down. Another stretch of land reclaimed from chaos. The wind cut like icy blades across the face. Yet Owen, Caleb's close companion, pressed forward with his team, pushing deeper into this frozen land. No commands were needed. Each hunter swiftly moved to their pre-planned positions. Owen selected a thorny bush near the edge of the forest, a perfect vantage point. Wide view, concealed enough for a deadly ambush. 5 long minutes passed in the bitter cold, each breath crystallizing in the air. Then suddenly, a shadow emerged from the opposite side. A wild boar, foraging quietly, unaware that hell awaited in the woods ahead. As it stepped perfectly into the crosshairs, Owen squeezed the trigger. No chance to flee. The bullet struck with final precision, faster than instinct could react. Another victory etched into the snow,